Meeting will please come to order. I would ask everyone to stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight's invocation is being offered by Council Member Brady Banks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let us pray. Creator, God, bless the members of the Metro Council and all the leaders of metropolitan Nashville government, that we may be people who build community and productive relationships among our neighbors and ourselves. Give us strength and the ability to be a blessing to those persons who have elected us to serve. Grant us wisdom and grace in the exercise of our duties, and let us be servants who create a more prosperous, just, righteous, and caring world and city. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Without objection, we'll suspend the calling of the roll and ask the clerk to record the names of the members present throughout the evening. Is there a motion for the adoption of our minutes from our August 16th meeting? Second. Without objection, they will stand approved. Madam Clerk, are there any messages from the mayor?
There are no messages from the mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Stein.
The Rules, Elections, and Confirmations Committee had 5 nominees before us today. We do nominees first? No. Do the motions first. I apologize.
Yes, sir.
Apologize. I should have known what came first. I have a motion that the council adopt 2011 rules of procedure as temporary rules of procedure for this council until such time as the 2011-2015 permanent rules are adopted, and I so move and have a brief comment.
Have a motion and a second. Councilman Stein.
Members of the council, as is traditional, so that we have something to operate on for at least the next month, we will tonight hopefully adopt the rules of the previous council. There is now the beginning of a period of time for which, as the Rules Committee, would like to request that any council members that have suggestions for changes to those rules, please submit those in writing to John Cooper, who will then forward them on to our committee by October 13th. The Rules Committee will then have a meeting in which council members that have suggestions will be invited to the week of October 24th to discuss those potential changes to the rules. At that time, the Rules Committee will then make a recommendation, which will then be forwarded on to the full council at our first meeting in November, with the goal of that meeting of adopting permanent rules. And with that explanation, I would renew my motion to adopt temporary rules.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilman Stein.
Now, I further move that this council adopt the following times for its regular scheduled meetings for the next 4 years. The council shall meet at 6 p.m. on the first Tuesday of every odd month, and all other regular meetings of this council will be held on the first and third Tuesday of each month at 6:30. And I would so move.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like to move that Rule 41 of the Council Rules of Procedure be suspended for the purpose of electing the Chair of the Traffic and Parking Committee and the Chair of the Planning, Zoning, and Historical Committee by acclamation.
Is there any objection to a suspension of the rules? Seeing none, Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Then I move that Councilmember Frank Harrison be elected as Chair of the Traffic and Parking Committee, and Councilmember Phil Claiborne be elected in Chair of the Planning, Zoning, and Historical Committee by acclamation.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Congratulations, Councilman Claiborne and Councilman Harrison. Before we begin our regular agenda, I wanted to remind everyone of what is on your desk. There is an announcement about the Industrial Development Board vacancy and the Health and Education Facilities Board vacancy that we will elect at our next meeting. Nominations at the next meeting, and then elections after that. Also on your desk is a letter you should have received from me a week or so ago about the various representatives that have to be elected either by the full council or by individual committees. The council will elect the president pro tem, and we will also elect 2 members to serve on the audit committee. For the Greenways Commission, Parks, Library, and Recreation Committee, we'll elect 3 members to serve on the Greenways Commission, and I will appoint 1 at-large member. In terms of the Metro Action Commission, Health, Hospitals, and Social Services, Personnel, Public Information, Human Relations, and Housing each have to elect a representative to serve on MAC. And for the Homeless Commission, Health, Hospitals, and Social Services, and Budget and Finance will need to elect a committee member to serve on the Homelessness Commission. And I am able to appoint 2 other folks. So if you are interested in any of these, please let me and/or the appropriate committee chairs know of your interest, so we can get these representatives elected in a timely fashion and have a voice at these meetings. Councilman Stein.
The Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Committee had 4 individuals appear before us. Mr. Richard Riebling appeared for us, as is traditional, for a reappointment as Director of Finance. The committee voted 10 for and none against to recommend his reappointment for 4 more years, and I would so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Congratulations, Mr. Riebling.
Thank you.
Councilman Stein.
We are indeed in the honeymoon period. For the Board of Health,
while you can.
For the Board of Health, a first-time appointment. Dr. Alicia Batson appeared before our committee. The committee voted 10 for and none against to recommend Dr. Batson's appointment to the Board of Health, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilman Stein.
Dr. Michelle Williams appeared before our committee for a reappointment to the Hospital Authority. The committee voted 10 for and none against to recommend her approval, and I so move.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes.
To the Plumbing Examiners and Appeals Board, the first-time appointment of Mr. Frank Sullivan was considered by the committee. The committee voted 10 for and none against to recommend his approval to the Plumbing Examiners and Appeals Board, and I so move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes.
And finally, the committee considered the reappointment of Ms. Shannon Rabin to the Procurement Standards Board and voted unanimously to recommend her nomination to that board, and I so move.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing. Alicia Batson, Michelle Williams, Frank Sullivan, Shannon Rabin. On behalf of the Metro Council, thank you for your willingness to dedicate your time and service to our great city. I now would like to take just a moment to recognize Josh Lee. He is a Vanderbilt Law student who will be spending the next few months assisting us in the council office, and we want to welcome you. We're now at bills on public hearing. The first one is RS 2011-1. Authorizes special assessments to be levied for infrastructure improvements associated with the proposed Biltmore Ridges development in Bellevue, and approves the forms of various agreements related to the special assessments. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Move to open the public hearing.
Could I have a show of hands of those in support? Thank you. Is anyone here in opposition? Seeing no one in opposition, would anyone in support wish to speak? If so, please come to the lectern and state your name and address, please.
It's Tom White. I represent the property owner in this particular matter. I live at 36 Old Club Court here in Nashville. I've represented the owners of this development for approximately the last 10 years, and during that period of 10 years, there's been a number of rezonings on the property, other matters that have come up. During part of that time, Charlie Tigert was the district council person in 35, and Bo Mitchell, of course, is in that position right now. Both of them have been totally supportive of the project throughout and are supportive of this resolution this evening. With respect to the property, it's a special piece of property. It's approximately 1,100 acres of land at one of the last undeveloped quadrants on the interstate system at I-40 and McCrory Lane in the Bellevue area. With respect to what's taken place previously, the Budget and Finance Committee considered this matter last evening. We appreciated their time. It was unanimously recommended by that commission and committee to this board and council tonight. With respect to some of the matters that came up last night, I think they're worth mentioning here in brief order. The first thing was that John Cooper did a 2.5-page narrative on the analysis of this bill, which has been distributed to all council members, and I think that basically has answered most of the questions that have come up. The question that came up the most frequently was there any exposure to the taxpayers of Metro with respect to this proposal? The answer in John's report and his oral answer yesterday was emphatically no, there's no exposure to the taxpayers, period. Another matter that came up is because it's a special assessment, will the property owners that buy the property be really paying any more for their land than they would in another development? And the answer to that's no. Infrastructure costs, which is what these bonds are for, basically get to the bottom line. Whoever buys and owns the land eventually pays whatever that infrastructure cost is. There's a real benefit to doing it this way because under this proposal, as I said, this is a huge development, 1,100 acres. As a result of this proposal, all the infrastructure is done at the beginning of the development. You don't have a development where part of the work is done and maybe they do or don't finish it. All the infrastructure for every residential and commercial opponent is finished at the very front end. That's a huge incentive for somebody buying the property. In addition to which, the developer here is committed to widening and improving 3 of the ramps to the interstate at I-40 and McCrory Lane. There's about 1 million square feet of commercial space which they've got access to. And as I said, most importantly to them is the infrastructure is all finished at the very front end. Another matter that was raised last night was, would there be any need in the very unlikely event of default for Metro to hire personnel or to spend any money with respect to any pursuit? The answer is no. First of all, any Metro personnel that would be involved are already on the payroll. They wouldn't be adding anybody. And there's a significant reserve fund which is built into this assessment bond, which would take care of more than the costs that would be involved. Finally, my client's making the commitment to be very proactive with respect to any communication. And that has to do with anybody that buys the property will be told specifically in contract form and in the CCRs or restrictive covenants that there is this special assessment. They clearly don't want any misunderstanding about there's no reason to it. It's a very upfront disclosure. It's a huge project for Bellevue. We appreciate your courtesies and ask for your approval this evening. Thank you for your courtesies.
Thank you.
My name is Timothy Barton. I represent the Biltmore Project, and I just wanted to say to everybody we appreciate the hard work that the city staff has done, not only in the streets issues that we had to deal with, but also with all the difficulties of this interchange, and the concern that we've had over this whole project has been the safety of those roads and what the quality of life will be in that development once it's built. And we have worked a long time, and we've put together this plan that we think is the best, not only for the development of the people who are going to live there, but it's good for the city as well as ourselves as the developer. And again, we'd just like to thank everybody's hard work at that, and we appreciate it and look forward to being a good citizens in the Nashville marketplace. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else wishing to speak, I declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The Budget and Finance Committee voted to approve as substituted 15-0, and so I would move the substitute at this time.
We have a motion and a second on the substitute. Councilman Mitchell, do you wish to speak? Okay. All in favor of the substitute, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Substitute passes. Councilmember McGuire.
I would move as substituted.
Have a motion and a second. Councilmember Mitchell. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next is RS 2011-2, a resolution ratifying continued membership in the Regional Transportation Authority of Tennessee. Councilmember Baker.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-0.
Councilmember Baker.
Transportation and Aviation voted 6-4, 0 against. I move approval.
Do we have a second? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next is RS 2011-3, amends a grant agreement from the Tennessee Housing Development Agency to the Metropolitan Development and Housing Agency for the Homeless Prevention and Rapid Rehousing Program. Councilmember Moore.
Federal Grants Committee met and is 6-4, 0 against, and I move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next is RS 2011-4, accepts an annual grant from the Tennessee Arts Commission to the Metro Arts Commission for general non-project specific support to well-established Tennessee arts organizations. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The Budget and Finance Committee voted to approve 15-4, no against, and I would move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-5 disclaims the Metropolitan Government's interest in unpaid fines and court costs assessed by the City of Lakewood for violations of Lakewood traffic violations. Councilmember Jernigan.
Committee report, please.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against.
Councilman Jernigan.
Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-6 approves a grant from the Greater Nashville Regional Council to the Metro Social Services Commission to provide meals that meet RDA nutritional guidelines at congregate meal sites, meal delivery services, and transportation for eligible seniors and disabled residents. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Councilmember Langster.
Thank you. Health and Hospitals voted to approve 5-4, 0 against.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against, and I would move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next is RS 2011-7, a resolution accepting a grant from the Greater Nashville Regional Council to the Metropolitan Social Services Commission. Councilmember Langster.
Thank you. Committee report.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against.
Councilmember Langster.
Move for approval, please.
Do you have a committee report?
Committee report 5-4, 0 against.
We have a motion. Is there a second for approval?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-8 appropriates funds from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to the Metro Action Commission for continuing support of the Head Start program. Councilmember Langster.
Committee report, please.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against.
Councilmember Langster.
Thank you. Health, Hospital, and Social Service voted to approve 5-4, 0 against. Move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-9 approves an annual grant from the Tennessee Department of Health to the Metro Board of Health to provide bioterrorism emergency preparedness services to the citizens of Davidson County. Councilmember Langster.
Thank you. Committee report, please.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against.
Councilmember Langster.
Thank you. Health, Hospital, and Social Service voted to approve 5-4, 0 against. Move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-10 approves a contract for services between Metro Board of Health and the African American Cultural Alliance to promote the discussion and building of a healthier culture. Councilmember Langster.
Thank you. Committee report, please.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against.
Councilmember Langster.
Thank you. Health, Hospital, and Social Service voted to approve 5-4, 0 against, and move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-11 approves 3 amendments to a grant from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to the Metro Board of Health to enhance access to comprehensive base care for low-income individuals and families with HIV disease. Councilmember Langster.
Thank you. Committee report, please.
Councilman McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against.
Councilmember Langster.
Thank you. Health, Hospital, and Social Service voted to approve 5-4-0 against. Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-12 approves an annual grant from the State Department of Health to the Metro Board of Health to reduce the risk of adolescents' diabetes by focusing on obesity prevention through physical activity and exercise. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee report.
Councilmember Langster.
Thank you. Health and Hospital and Social Service voted to approve 5-4-0 against.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-13 approves a contract between the Metro Board of Health and Tennessee State University to provide a worksite POD for the distribution of medications in the event of a public health emergency. Councilmember Langster.
Thank you. Health, Hospital, and Social Service voted to approve 5-4-0 against.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against.
Councilmember Langster.
Move for approval, please.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-14 approves a business associate agreement between the Metro Board of Health and Meharry College to provide safeguards to prevent the use or disclosure of protected health information. Councilmember Langster.
Committee report.
You're it.
All right, pass. We voted to approve 5-4-0 against. Move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-15 approves an extension of a lease agreement between Metro Government and First Cal Industrial 2 Acquisition, LLC for property located at 621 Mainstream Drive. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Councilman Claiborne.
Planning and Zoning voted 8-0 to defer 1 meeting.
Councilman McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted to defer 15-0, and I would move a 1-meeting deferral.
We have a motion and a second on a 1-meeting deferral. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-16 approves an application for a grant from the Tennessee Historical Commission to the Metro Historical Commission to provide continuing education for staff and commissioners. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee report.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning and Zoning voted 8-0 to approve.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted 15-4, none against to approve, and I would move approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-17 approves a grant from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to the Metro Fire Department to purchase computer equipment and software for fire inspectors to conduct inspections and generate violation reports in the field. Councilmember Mitchell.
Yeah, Public Safety approves 6-0.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Move to approve.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-18 approves an application for a grant for the Gang Resistant Education and Training Program from the U.S. Department of Justice to the Metro Police Department to provide training and certification for officers. Councilmember Mitchell.
Yeah, committee reports. Public Safety approved 6-0.
Councilman McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Move to approve.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-19 approves an amendment to a federal grant to the Mayor's Office of Emergency Management to support port-wide risk management for the Port of Nashville. Councilmember Mitchell.
Committee report.
Councilman McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against.
Councilman Mitchell.
Public Safety approved 7-0, and I move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-20 approves an application for a gang resistance education and training program grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to the Metro Police Department. Councilmember Mitchell.
Committee report.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Public Safety approved 7-0. Move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-21 approves an application for and acceptance of a grant from Nash H20 Grant, Frost Insurance, and Fireman's Fund Insurance Company to the Mayor's Office of Emergency Management to enhance equipment for the flood and swift water response team. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee report.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Public Safety approved 7-0.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-22 approves a grant from the Dollar General Literacy Foundation to the Metropolitan Government to provide partial funding for one employee's salary in the Mayor's Office of Children and Youth. Councilmember Matthews.
Committee reports.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against.
Councilmember Matthews.
Education approved 7-0, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-23 approves a grant from the Tennessee Literacy Coalition to the Community Education Commission to fund a full-time AmeriCorps program participant for 1 year. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee report.
Councilmember Matthews.
Education approved 7-0.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-24 approves an annual grant from the Tennessee State Library and Archives to the Nashville Public Library to target library materials to persons having difficulty using a library and to the underserved in Nashville-Davidson County area. Councilmember Jernigan.
Public hearing. Committee reports.
Councilman McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against.
Councilman Jernigan.
Parks voted 8-0, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-25 approves an amended memorandum of understanding between Metro Board of Parks and Recreation, the Metro Nashville Airport Authority, the Federal Aviation Administration, and the Friends of Bells Bend related to the construction of a wetland at Bells Bend Park. Councilmember Matthews.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Councilmember Baker.
Transportation and Aviation voted 6-4-0 against.
Councilman Jernigan.
Parks and Library, 8 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Matthews.
I would like to move approval.
I'm sorry, I forgot one committee report. I was giving Councilman McGuire a break, but Councilman McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-26 accepts a grant from the State Department of Labor and Workforce Development to the Nashville Career Advancement Center to provide funds for the Incumbent Worker Training Program. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Councilmember Berry.
Thank you. Personnel voted 4-4, 0 against.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against, and I would move approval.
We have a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-27 approves a grant from the State Department of Labor and Workforce Development to the Nashville Career Advancement Center to cover administrative costs associated with providing programs and services to assist dislocated workers, adults, and youth facing barriers to employment. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee report.
Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Personnel voted 4-4, 0 against.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-28 authorizes the acquisition of additional easements or property rights necessary for an upgrade to the Monroe Road Pump Station. Councilmember Stanley.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember McGuire.
At the request of the sponsor, Budget and Finance voted to defer 2 meetings, 15-4, none against.
Councilmember Hunt.
At the request of the sponsor, Public Works Committee voted to defer for 2 meetings, 11-0.
Thank you. Councilman Stanley.
I move deferral for 2 meetings.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of a 2-meeting deferral, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-29 approves an application for a fast-track infrastructure development program grant from the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development to Metro Public Works to rehabilitate and renovate a trolley barn located on Rolling Mill Hill to accommodate the Nashville Entrepreneur Center headquarters. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Councilmember Hunt.
Public Works Committee voted to approve 11-4, 0 against.
Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-30 approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Metropolitan Government and the City of Forest Hills concerning removal and relocation of a water main near Cliff T. Drive. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Hunt.
Public Works voted to approve 11-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember McGuire.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-31 authorizes the Department of Law to compromise and settle Metro Government's property damage claim against James E. Yurton. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-32 authorizes the Department of Law to compromise and settle Metro Government's property damage claim against Keona Evans. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against, and I move approval.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-33 authorizes the Department of Law to compromise and settle Metro Government's property damage claim against Abdullah Habib. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-34 authorizes the Department of Law to compromise and settle the claim of Yolanda Mitchell against Metro Government to be paid out of the Self-Insured Liability Fund. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against, and I move approval.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-35 authorizes the Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury and property damage claims of Timothy T. Mower against Metro Government. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against, and I move approval.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-36 authorizes the Department of Law to compromise and settle Metro Government's property damage claim against LCJ Schutz. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against, and I move approval.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-37 authorizes the Department of Law to compromise and settle Metro Government's property damage claim against Catherine Taylor. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against, and I move approval.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. We're now at bills on introduction and first reading. Councilmember Jernigan.
Yes, Vice Mayor, I need to pull 2011-28 with the intent to defer indefinitely.
Okay. Any others to be pulled? Councilmember Glover.
Yes, ma'am. I wish to pull indefinitely BL 2011-21.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Matthews.
Yes, I just need to be recorded as abstaining on 25.
On BL 2011-25. Okay, so noted. First, we have BL 2011-21. Changes RM 9 to SP zoning for property located at Old Hickory Boulevard unnumbered to present mixture of commercial and/or medical uses with a possible assisted living facility. Councilmember Glover.
I ask it be deferred indefinitely.
We have a motion and a second on indefinite deferral. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Indefinite deferral passes. RS 2011-28 amends section of the code to allow certain identification signs on residential properties containing 25 acres or more in AG, AR2A, R, and RS districts. Councilmember Jernigan.
Move to defer indefinitely.
We have a motion and a second on indefinite deferral. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Indefinite deferral passes. Is there a motion for approval of all other bills on introduction? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. We're now at memorializing resolutions. The first is RS 2011-38, requests Davidson County delegation of the Tennessee General Assembly to support the property tax relief legislation for flooded properties that have been identified for acquisition under the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, but are awaiting release of the funds from the federal government to complete the sale. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I had a nice break there. Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, none against, and I would move approval with a brief explanation.
Have a motion and a second. Councilman McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Certainly the impetus for this resolution, as hopefully you saw in my letter about it, is in speaking with my constituents who are currently awaiting the buyout, and currently, of course, the funds have been frozen at FEMA. I know that a number of you have constituents that are experiencing the exact same situation where potentially they have gone as far as to bought a new home and are facing a situation of potentially paying property taxes on both their new home and the home that they're waiting to be bought out. Certainly, it's no one's fault that the money is on hold, but what, of course, I'm hoping to do is work with our members at the state legislature, specifically the Davidson County delegation, to see what we can do as far as providing some relief for these folks. Now, I know there's probably some questions about what exactly this resolution can do. What it cannot do is provide immediate property tax relief for any of our citizens. That power is, should it be done at all, belongs to the state legislature. And of course, we've had some conversations. We had conversations in the Budget and Finance Committee, and it was also discussed briefly at our council work session this past Saturday that it's most likely going to take an amendment to the state constitution to really provide solid property tax relief for our citizens. What I think we can hope for at the very least is potentially get some relief in terms of penalties, in terms of interest on this property tax, should our citizens not be able to pay their property taxes, which unfortunately is going to be the case for many. So what I'm asking this council is to give me your blessing to go up Capitol Hill and see if we can work with some of our state legislators. Maybe as we roll up our sleeves and get into this, we'll figure out another solution that might work for these folks. To me, in my opinion, it's the right thing to do. In terms of dollars and cents, what we're talking about is $274,000. That's the amount that I calculated that these parcels that are waiting to be bought out would owe in property taxes next year. That is 0.02% of our operating budget from this past fiscal year. I don't mean to say that $274,000 is an insignificant amount. It certainly is not. For those of us who have been up here in the past few budget cycles, it's a lot of money, and it's going to be a lot of money this budget cycle. I guess what I would put forward, and what I'm going to put forward to our state representatives and senators, is that when this property is purchased by Metro and and these homes are eventually torn down, these properties are going to disappear from the tax rolls eventually. I feel like the right thing to do is to try and give our citizens some property tax relief. So, Vice Mayor, I would renew my motion for approval.
Good. Councilmember Langster.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just wanted to remind our viewing audience who is at home that we really appreciate the chairman of Budget and Finance with this piece of legislation, and I wholeheartedly support it. The Budget Committee supports it, but I just want to remind the viewing audience that the state legislature does not reconvene on Capitol Hill until January, but we will be working toward that end, even though they're not in session yet. Thank you.
Seeing no more discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next is RS 2011-39, proclaims October 2011 as Cyber Security Awareness Month in Nashville and Davidson County. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I move for approval.
Councilman Stein, you have a committee report?
Rules recommends approval, 10 for, none against.
Thank you. Councilmember Allen.
Now I move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-40 proclaims October 20th as Mediation Day in Nashville, Tennessee. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Ask for committee report.
Councilmember Stein.
Rules recommends approval, 10 for, none against.
Thank you. Councilmember Allen.
Move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next is RS 2011-41. Proclaims October 5th, 2011 as Walk to School Day in the city of Nashville. Councilmember Johnson.
Committee report.
Councilmember Stein.
Rules recommends approval, 10 for, none against.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnson.
I'd like to move for approval with a brief explanation.
We have a motion and a second. Councilmember.
It's actually a comment. The reason why I brought forth this resolution is a little bit different than in years past is because I wanted us to have something on record that support Mayor Caldean's initiative around a healthier Nashville. And this resolution supports walking initiatives in our neighborhoods around our children and families. And so I appreciate the support that each of you have given me tonight with this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.